The world had long forgotten the old warnings. Stories of the Colossus were told only as bedtime tales to frighten children. A titan of stone and metal, sleeping beneath the earth, waiting for the day it would rise again. That day had come. The ground trembled beneath the capital city of Velmara. At first, the people thought it was an earthquake. But as the dust settled, a massive form rose from the cracked earth, illuminated by the burning glow of ancient runes along its body. The Colossus had awakened. Over 100 feet tall, its form was a fusion of blackened metal and enchanted stone. A relic from an age when gods still walked among mortals, forged as both a protector and a destroyer. It turned its glowing eyes toward the city and took its first step in 1,000 years. Buildings crumbled. People screamed. The age-old terror had returned. The High King of Velmara, Doran Valus, watched from his tower as his people fled in terror. He had heard the legends, knew the words carved in the ruins beneath the capital. The Colossus will awaken when the realm is at its weakest. And only the warriors of unyielding spirit can stand against it. Velmara was a kingdom of scholars now, not warriors. Their armies were small, trained for skirmishes, not world-ending battles. But Doran knew he had no choice. He sent out the summons, calling upon the last warriors of the old blood, those who still remembered how to fight monsters. They came from across the land. Veterans, mercenaries, and warriors from distant realms. Among them was Rael, a former royal guard turned exile, wielding a sword of star steel. The Iron Sisters, twin warriors clad in enchanted armor, carried warhammers heavy enough to shatter boulders. Darkan, the last of the Titan-born, had the blood of ancient giants in his veins. And Vale the Ashen, a mage with fire in his bones, sought to break the monster with arcane might. They stood before the High King, who looked upon them with the weight of his people's survival on his shoulders. The Colossus will not stop until all of Velmara is ash. We must stand against it. Not as an army, but as legends. The warriors took their positions at the city's outer wall, watching as the Colossus approached. Its steps alone shattered the ground, sending waves of stone and dust in all directions. Rael launched himself onto the Titan's massive foot, driving his sword into the ancient metal. The beast barely noticed. The Iron Sisters swung their hammers, striking its legs with enough force to break lesser creatures, but only managed to dent the surface. Vale unleashed torrents of fire, but the runes along the Colossus's body absorbed the magic. Then, Darkan leapt. With the strength of his ancestors, he drove his blade into the monster's knee, striking at the seams of its ancient construction. The Colossus roared for the first time, shaking the heavens themselves. It could be hurt. Enraged, the Colossus swept its massive arm across the battlefield, sending warriors flying like leaves in a storm. One of the Iron Sisters was caught mid-air and crushed beneath its heel. It struck the city wall, shattering centuries-old stone as if it were paper. The defenses crumbled. The battle had only just begun, and already the warriors were losing. As the battle raged, the warriors realized brute force wasn't enough. They needed a plan. Vale deciphered the ancient runes along the Colossus's body and found the answer. The core, he shouted. Its power lies within its chest. We must crack it open. The warriors adjusted their strategy. Rael led a daring climb, scaling the Titan's arm, dodging its massive swings. Darkan and the remaining Iron Sister focused their attacks on weakening the joints, forcing the Colossus to slow down. With a final, desperate leap, Rael reached the Colossus's chest and drove his star steel blade deep into its core. The Colossus let out a deafening, hollow roar. The runes along its body flickered and died. Cracks spread from its core, and with a sound like mountains splitting, the ancient Titan collapsed. Velmara was saved. The city was in ruins, the battlefield littered with the fallen. But the warriors had won. Rael, Darkan, Vale, and the others stood victorious, bloodied, exhausted, but unbroken. The Colossus would never rise again. And their names would be remembered, not just as warriors, but as legends.